Hi, Dave here. Today is April 2nd, 2024. The title of this video is Festivus for the Rest of Us, the airing of my grievances with the Wist family. I've waited a long time for this. I'd like to dedicate this video to my father, Darrell Gobel, and my uncle Rudy, Rudolph Kozojet. They referred to themselves as the outlaws to the Wist family. These two men, along with myself, have experienced the hypocrisy and the viciousness of the Wist family firsthand. In this video, I will discuss some of the mean things they've done to me. Not all of them, because I have many. They've done many. This video is about my uncles Paul and Mike Wist. Fortunately, Paul's dead, but Mike is still alive. The Wist portray themselves as upstanding Christians, leaders in the Catholic community. They go to church every Sunday and sometimes during the week. Some even give out communion at the altar. They donate to the Catholic Church and volunteer at events for the needy. This is the Wist family they want you to see, the narrative they must control at all costs. See, in the Wist family, there are two rankings. Either you're a Wist or you're not. For me, my dad, and my uncle Rudy, we're not Wists. Even though technically I'm half a Wist, I was never treated as one. I guess my sin was that I was my father's son, a Gobel, not a Wist. If they delegate you as a non-Wist, you're doomed. You're doomed in the family. They will openly treat you like you're not one of them. For example, how my Uncle Mike treated me. Now, I must say my cousins are wonderful people. I have no beef with them. I got to make that perfectly clear. They're wonderful people. So my beef is with the upper folks of my family. Let me continue. Okay, they will openly treat you like you're not one of them. For example, how my Uncle Mike treated me. That man was always mean to me. I don't know why. He would openly embarrass me and insult me in front of my friends, and nobody stopped him. Not even my lovely Aunt Ning, who everybody thinks is a fine Christian lady. Not. My friends would all ask me why my uncle was so mean to me. You know, we were all together down at Bayside. They say, "Man, Dave, why is your uncle so mean to you?" And I'd say, "And he's my godfather, too." Very sarcastically, obviously. They must have thought I had a crappy Christian family. To be so mean to me and one of their family members in public like that. Families don't do that, but mine does, sadly. It's like my uncle took great pleasure in making me look stupid when I'd ask for help on anything mechanically related. I'd only ask for his help when I absolutely needed it, because when I asked for his help, he'd be nasty to me the whole time, especially if I screwed something up. He just enjoyed embarrassing me, making me look stupid. He was not patient with me. He'd never help me learn. He wouldn't be the kind of guy that would console me. I showed more of an interest in the stuff he did for a living than his own sons. But he wanted no part in teaching me how to build things or fix cars. Now, my cousin Bob, on the other hand, my Uncle Rudy's son, not a full Wist, was always much more of an uncle to me than my own uncle. I learned more in a few hours working with Bob on a project than I'd learned an entire summertime being with my uncle. And that's every Sunday. And I'd have fun too. Never be embarrassed, insulted. I'd love to know what I did to that man to make me hate me so much. He started hating me from the time I was a child. I guess he didn't like the kind of kid I was. I've been told by others that he thinks that I'm lazy. I don't know how he could think this. I don't know how he thought that then. I was selling snowballs out in my backyard when I was 13 years old. I put myself through college and are a successful businessman now. Most of my career spent as an independent programmer. So I had to get out there and hustle, and I still do. I guess he was all wrong on me being lazy and a loser. An apology would be nice, Uncle Mike. That's right, the Wist don't apologize. They just throw you out of the family when you call them out on it. Like I did, and like they did. If it wasn't bad enough that I had my Uncle Mike gunning for me the whole time, I also had to deal with my Uncle Paul lurking around, waiting to put the screws to me. Well, he got his chance and it didn't work. Let me tell you what he did to me, and thankfully he failed. I've never shared this story with anybody other than with Peg and people that told me this. First, let me tell you about how my Uncle Paul treated me. You know, he was on the other side of the family. You know, the ones we were prevented from seeing. My Uncle George was in that group too. But my Uncle George was in that group, and they were still allowed to see my grandparents. Once again, I don't have a beef with my cousins. So after my grandfather died and we came back into the family, watch my other video about not using a child as a weapon. You'll get an explanation about that. I never felt like he accepted me back. My Uncle Paul, that is. He refused to talk to me. I'd go on vacation with that man for an entire week from the time I was 15 years old until I was in my mid-20s. And if he said hi to me when we got there, he never said goodbye. He'd engage in long conversations with my cousins and guests, but he wouldn't even ask me about school, what my life goals were, how I was going to accomplish them. It was like he already assumed I was a loser and lazy, and I'd never go anywhere in life, and I wasn't worthy of this conversation. I always wondered, like my Uncle Mike, why they were so mean to me and made such mean assumptions about me. I never did anything to them. I didn't steal any money from them like my father and Uncle George did. My Uncle George and his family got to stay in the Wist family. We were the odd man out. We all had to suffer for what my father and my Uncle George did. So, as I said, I had always had my Uncle Paul lurking around, waiting to put the screws to me. I knew this. Because, you know, that's how them Wists operate. So here's what he did. When I was 25 years old, and I was looking for my very first real job in my career, I applied for a job at Stella Maris in Towson. Now, of course, I knew my Uncle Paul, you know, the man who refused to talk to me and basically hates me, hates my guts, was on the board of directors at Stella Maris. A very influential man in the Catholic community. An upstanding man. He was truly looked up to at Stella Maris. But I knew this man hates me, and he would never give me a good reference. But because I have fun proving that I'm not a Wist, I never pass up on an opportunity to nail one for being a bad Christian and a mean Wist. So I went for it. During the interview, I mentioned that my great uncle was a resident there. Now, this is a different uncle. I used to belong to a big family till they threw me out. I purposely mentioned that uncle and not my Uncle Paul. Well, both of them hated me. So I purposely didn't use my Uncle Paul's name. I wanted to see if Stella Maris would ask my Uncle Paul about me. And they did. And here's what he said. He's my sister's kid. I've heard he went to school for computers. I don't know him. Don't hire him because he's just related to me. He never tried to get to know me. He ignored me. and treated me like a second-class member of the family. I knew he was going to do something mean when he got the chance to. And Wist, they're so stupid. They're so predictable. I mean, I knew that. I knew that at the age of 25. It was my first real job. My first real job. And that man tried to railroad my career. That's mean. But that's a Wist tactic, you see. I have no idea where they learned that from. My mother does it too. Fortunately for me, I was qualified for the job, and sometime later they told me what happened. And they said they were so shocked that Paul Wist would say such a mean thing about a family member. Everybody believed my Uncle Paul was an upstanding Christian and Catholic. Well, they found out he wasn't, and I put that win in my pocket for future use, just like today. I'm glad I don't have a self-esteem problem, because if I did, I'd be in the nut house for having these people as family members. So let me finish with my opinion about Christianity and Catholics. It may surprise you. I have said since I was a young man that I'm proud to be a Catholic, just not very proud of my Catholic family. I'm not going to change my view of Christianity or my strong conviction for the Catholic religion just because I had the misfortune as to being born into a prototypical hypocritical Catholic family. God. Fortunately for me, I've had wonderful experiences with many fantastic Catholic families. These families have shown me what it's like to have a lifetime membership to a forever forgiving and loving family, as Jesus Christ wants us to be. We have distant groups of families associated with ours that operate this way, but just not mine. Those people would not believe that my family could do such a thing. Just like the administrators at Stella Maris couldn't believe that my Uncle Paul wouldn't give me a recommendation. He couldn't even say something nice about me. Almost every family member, almost everyone in my family goes to church every week. Some many times a week. I wonder what they go for sometimes. My mother drugged me to church every Sunday from the time I was born up until the Sunday before I turned 18. I didn't stop going to church because I didn't buy into it. I stopped because it was a waste of my time. And not because I didn't buy into it. I stopped because I fully bought into it. I felt I was ready to go out into the world and live my life as I was being brought up around me as being a Christian and a Catholic. And I did, and I still do. I bought it, and I live my way like that. And my family don't. They're hypocrites. You see, I paid attention. I paid attention when I went to church. I got the message. My family still doesn't. They still go to church every Sunday. Pray God for being shitty people. And here's the end. I don't go to church much, but when I go to church to pray, I reflect on my life, my accomplishments, and my failures. I thank God for being there for me when I needed Him, and I hope to continue to live my life the way He wants me to. But I do ask God one question. Why the hell did you put me in with those people? I can't wait to find the answer out to that one. Ciao.